Welcome back to another episode of Archie's Sonic Character Files as we explore the histories of the inhabitants on planet Mobius. In this episode, we take a look at the history of the local taxi driver known as Harry the Dingo. Ah yes, one of our unsung heroes who I've always wanted to give him the spotlight for this series. And despite his connections with the Dingo regime, I still think Harry is the only memorable Dingo character from Archie Sonic. He made his first appearance in the Knuckles comics from issues 13 through 15. Harry works as a taxi driver in Echidnaopolis, but one night he hears someone calling for help and rushes to see what's going on. Turns out Charmy's friend Mellowbee is suddenly feeling ill and needs to be taken to the hospital. Fortunately, Harry helps them get to the hospital, but unfortunately, Mellow didn't pull through. It's later revealed that the bee was part of a series of incidences involving lemon sundrop dandelion poisoning, and Constable Remington is determined to find out who's responsible for all this. Harry would find himself being roped into all of this for being the main source of transportation for the Constable and the Chaotix, along with a brief encounter with General Helmut von Stryker, revealing that Harry was once a member of the Dingo regime. Despite his lack of interest for the army days and prefers the cabbie job, von Stryker says that he is still their soldier, whether he likes it or not. After this story, Harry would continue to make a few smaller appearances, from helping Remington stop an evil scheme by Benedict the Echidna, and later providing some info to the Constable about von Stryker's plan of attack on the Echidnas. Later on, he would end up becoming a pawn to a greater plan, starting off in issue 114. During this time, Knuckles is going through his Chaos Knuckles phase, and Mammoth Mughal is hell-bent on taking that kind of energy for himself. The old Mammoth finds Harry off-duty and demands a ride. At first, Harry refuses, but he quickly changes his mind when Mughal bribes him with gold. So he helps him find Dimitri in order to set his plans into motion to capture Chaos Knuckles. But he really should have thought twice about helping him because, instead of receiving the payment, he was severely beaten up after Mughal had no further use for him. Now the poor Dingo was barely holding on after he was taken to the hospital. After the Chaotix tell Knuckles who he is, the juiced-up Echidna uses his new powers to revive him. Luckily, Harry manages to wake up and tells them everything that he knows about Mughal's recent outing. The next time we see Harry would be in the Return to Angel Island story arc. Sonic has returned to Mobius after being stranded in space for a year, and finds out that a lot has changed during his absence, like the fact that Echidnaopolis was destroyed, and the Dingo regime are now serving the Eggman Empire, now under their new leader, Cage von Stryker, who are now torturing Locke for information on where the Master Emerald is. And it looks like poor Harry was dragged back into the army to serve their new leader. He's about to get a beating from Cage after he accidentally drops his breakfast, until he is quickly defeated by Sonic the Hedgehog. He's about to do the same to Harry until Locke tells Sonic that he's actually a double agent, trying to do his best to help the old Echidna. And to show he's on their side, he gives Knuckles the key to free his father. And after that, he stayed in the background when Sonic and the Chaotix were kept busy with the rest of the battle. The last time we would see Harry would be in Sonic Universe issue 9. During this time, the resurrected Interjack kills Cage von Stryker, and banishes the rest of the Dingoes to the Sandopolis Desert. Knuckles, Julusu, and Mighty arrive to hear about some new info about Dr. Finitivus, while Vector and Ray stay behind to look after the Master Emerald. Thanks to Harry now using a sandworm as transportation, Team Knuckles are taken to some old ruins to find Finitivus. Mighty is the only one in the group who recognizes Harry, and asks him why he's been so quiet during the trip. To which the bitter Dingo replies by talking about how unlucky his life has been, from his early days of being forced into the Dingo regime, to helping out the Chaotix on their previous adventures, and apparently after the whole Return to Angel Island story arc, he was left behind and suffered the consequences from Cage von Stryker. Now the poor guy is badly scarred from all the beatings. Despite all of this, Helmut von Stryker labels him as a hero for going up against his corrupted son. So now Harry prefers to stay in the safety of the remaining Dingoes in the desert. Before he makes his way back to camp, he tells Mighty that he has no personal beef against him and his friends. He's just tired of getting involved with all of their adventures. And that's the history of Harry, the reluctant cabbie. He's just one of those unlucky characters in Archie Sonic, and unlike Larry Lynx, his life didn't improve. and I can't help but feel sorry for this guy. All he wants is just a normal life and a steady job, yet he keeps finding himself being dragged into these big adventures that sometimes leave him getting injured in the process. And of course there's his connections with the Dingo regime. I don't want to get too deep into this cause the regime is a whole other can of worms to get into. Most I can say is that we do get glimpses of his military training, like seeing him pull out a gun when Espio tries to sneak into the taxi. And unlike the Dingo's racism against the Echidnas, Harry has no beef against them. He's just a guy who doesn't want to cause any trouble, prefers things to be more quiet, and has a soft spot for helping out the young ones. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this guy. And I call him an unsung hero because he does play some important roles, like helping out the Chaotix during the whole LSD story arc, along with all the times he's helped out Constable Remington in protecting Echidnaopolis. Honestly, I can kinda see these two being a comedy duo, Remington with his enthusiasm and confidence, while Harry is the reluctant one, making dry remarks. Makes me wish we saw more of these two on other wacky adventures. It might seem odd seeing Harry helping out a villain like Mammoth Mughal, but then again, he tends to lay low, so I guess that would explain why he really doesn't know anything about this guy. And to those who complain about the whole Chaos Knuckles thing, you can thank this guy for being responsible for setting up the whole story arc of Mammoth Mughal being responsible for taking away that form. I don't have much to say about his time being dragged back into the army during Cage Von Stryker's rule. I'm just glad that Sonic didn't pulverize him when he showed up. The poor guy has had more than enough abuse already. Speaking of which, it was a pretty sad way to end his character like that. Now a bitter man after getting scars from Cage's beatings. Man, why'd you have to go and do this to him, Ian Flynn? Lay off Harry, will ya? He's gone through a rough life already. And that's why I say hashtag justice for Harry the Dingo. Well, then again, I guess he already did get justice with Cage Von Stryker being killed and all that, but still, this guy deserved a better life than this current condition that he's dealing with. There is one bit of dialogue exchange that I find weird, where Mighty states that they left him behind during the Return to Angel Island story arc because, quote, everything moved so fast that day. And sure, after the rescue, Harry only had a few cameos and crowd shots during the climax of the story, but then there's this scene of him just casually hanging out with Charmy and Saffron after the climax. Was that just retcon out of existence, or did Flynn forget about that moment? I don't know, it doesn't paint a good picture for Mighty and his friends. But then again, what was stopping Harry from leaving the regime again? Sonic and his friends all arrived on the Freedom Fighter Special. I'm pretty sure that big aircraft has more than enough room for him. Besides, he might like Knothole/New Mobiletropolis better than the big city of Echidnaopolis. I'm sure they can use his taxi skills there. And if not, then maybe he can just find work at the library, helping out Jeremiah, or just living a more peaceful life, or something. I don't know, I just want to see this guy be happy. But I suppose he has somewhat of a happy ending in the Light Mobius universe, where despite now looking older, he doesn't seem to mind still being a taxi driver. Either way, I just think Harry is neat. Drive on, taxi driver, drive on. Well, that takes care of this character file, so until then, I gotta juice!
Taxi! 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 Taxi!
Where to?
The ends of the earth!
Right. Huh?